This is week 6 unit workstation project. I selected 7th grade earth science, and the unit workstation is types of rocks. The overall goal for this unit is to help students understand and gain knowledge of igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. The learning objectives are that students will describe what rocks are made of. Students will know the 3 main categories of rocks, and students will be able to explain how each of these rock type form. There are 6 workstations. The rules for these workstations are: each student must participate in at least 5 out of 6 workstations, 3 of which will be required. Students will be given a worksheet of paper that lists all of the stations, and after the completion of each station, the student will place their initial on the blank for that station. Students will submit their worksheet along with their quiz and their table at the end of the workstation unit. If there is time, students will be allowed to complete all 6 workstations. The first station is a video clip, and it states the types of rocks. The second station is an activity worksheet, and students will be in small groups, and there will be pictures and state the rock classifications. The third station is classification of the rocks using pictures. The students will place the characteristics of rocks into 3 main categories. The fourth station is critical reading. Students will be given a passage, and based on the text, they are to answer 5 questions that follow. The fifth station is a lab on rock properties. Students will be able to review different types of rocks, and they will make a table for the properties of rocks, such as the color, the luster, the streak, fracture, cleavage, and density. And the final station, station 6, is a vocabulary quiz. The quiz will be used to assess students' learning for the key terms on rocks. Now to begin. The types of rocks unit worksheet workstations, that the students will be given at the beginning of the class. This is what they'll use to check off on. Now, to go in a little bit more detail, for station number 1, there will be a video clip, and this video clip will have 3 main rock types. This station is designed for auditorial, verbal, and linguistic type of learners. Students will be given directions as follows. They will watch an 11-minute video clip on the 3 types of rocks. The second station is an activity worksheet. The types of learners here is verbal, linguistic, and interpersonal. Students are able to work individually and do an independent study, as well as utilize their verbal and linguistic skills. The activity worksheet consists of igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks and information that has to be classified into the proper categories. So students will be given a word bank, and the directions are for under each heading they are to write the statements or the term that applies to that type of rock. The third station is the classification of rocks using the pictures. Students will be presented the pictures, and in small groups they are to view the pictures and state the rock classification. The types of learners for this station is English as a second language, ESL, special education, auditory, visual spatial, verbal linguistic, and interpersonal learning styles. The fourth station, again, is critical reading. The types of learners here are gifted and talented, visual spatial, verbal linguistic, and intrapersonal. Students are given a critical reading assignment, and the directions here are to read the passage on the text and answer the questions. critical reading discusses the process of the rock cycles. And then some questions that it asks are, what is the rock cycle? And then list the 3 processes that change the rocks in the rock cycle. The next one is, how do igneous rocks form? Third is outlining the steps in the formation of sedimentary rocks from other types of rocks. Fourth, the student needs to be able to define metamorphism. And then the final question is, how does an igneous rock become a metamorphic rock? How might the metamorphic rock differ from the igneous rock from which it is formed? The 5th station is the type of learners. Here are the types of learners, English as a second language, ESL, kinesthetic, verbal linguistic, logical, mathematical, intrapersonal, and naturalists. Students here work in a lab on the rock properties. And in this lab, they're able to determine from a variety of different rocks presented the color of the rock, the luster of the rock. When the light hits it, how does it reflect? How does it look? How does it shine? The streak of the rock, which will be considered the powder if the rock was scratched. The fracture, does it break on the plane, which will be cleavage, or is it fractured? Does it break unevenly? The type of rock, the density. Students would have to use a beaker and fill it with water, and they would have to measure what the water is, which is the volume, and then place the rock inside the water and see the difference. So density would be mass over volume, and students will be able to find that as well. And then the final station, which is required, is a vocabulary quiz. And the types of learners are gifted and talent, dyslexia, and intrapersonal. Again, another opportunity for students to study independently as well as use other learning strategies. The vocabulary words are presented and students are to match the correct term with the meaning. So again, in workstation number 2, 5, and 6, students are required to complete those workstations. Then they're given 2 other options of their own to pick from the 6. The purpose here is for students to understand the different types of rocks. Again, you have the igneous rock, you have the sedimentary rock, and the metamorphic rock. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to provide your comments.